Lesson 258. Let me remember that my goal is God. I love this sentence. You could also say, let me remember that my goal is love, because that's what God is. Or you could even say, let me remember that my goal is light. This is what it means for me. Or source energy, divine light, whatever, divine intelligence, universal intelligence, whatever you like to call this. But that is our goal. Words are just symbols which are describing what that means for us. And that is what our goal is to connect to that meaning, connect to that light within, to this awareness that we are just the extensions of this creator of ours. Welcome to the Qigong support for A Course in Miracles students. I am Judith, and this is part of the Lucid Mind Center, which is like a virtual center to retraining the mind, which I started many, many years ago. And it's finally coming together. And the reason why this is called Qigong support is because after reading and contemplating this lesson together with you, I'm going to guide you to Qigong classes which I have recorded for this special period with the special thought, what is sin? And in these classes, I ask you to consider what is sin. We're also going to repurpose our body to actually use it for our goal. And I'm going to give you more instructions at the end. Let's begin reading our lesson together. Lesson 258. Let me remember that my goal is God. So all that is needful is to train our minds to overlook all little senseless aims and to remember that our goal is God. That is what we have to keep on our mind, and that is what we have been training for 257 previous days. Is to retrain our mind, to understand that it is our mind which is creating all the problems we are having. We have got a choice to look at the world in a different way, in a different light. All that is needful is to train our minds to overlook all little senseless aims and to remember that our goal is God, that our goal is love, that our goal is light. His memory is hidden in our minds. Just remember this. His memory is hidden in your mind. It is not somewhere out there. It is within you. You got to reclaim this space which your body occupies. It is not that your mind is within the body somewhere. It is that your body is within your mind. And you got to reclaim that space. And your wisdom is deep within, hidden underneath a belt of fear, which I call it like that. A belt of fear which expresses itself in either fear itself or in anger, in dissatisfaction, in jealousy, envy, worry, pain, sadness, grief. All these negative words which we have identified. Remember that your wisdom, your love is hidden behind all these negative ideas which we are allowing our mind to roll around in our mind. So all that is needful is to train our minds to overlook all little senseless aims and to remember that our goal is God. His memory is hidden in our minds, obscured but by our pointless little goals which offer nothing and do not exist. Idiotic goals we might have. And sometimes I catch myself having stupid goals and then I don't want to let them go, or my ego doesn't want to let them go. But I don't actually like to exclude the ego. Ego is mine too. It is just a confused part of my mind. And I'm claiming that back. That confused part of my mind is mine and I want it back. I want this part, this confused dark part of my mind, I want it to be lit up. So I am engaging my enlightened mind to light up those parts which I'm describing as the ego. I am choosing to light up those parts as well. It's like I'm opening up this door of that room which I didn't want to deal with. I'm opening up the door and I'm opening up the windows and I'm getting rid of all the trash so I can light up that space which I have allowed the ego, the fear to occupy. His memories hidden in our minds, obscured but by our pointless little goals which offer nothing and do not exist. Shall we continue to allow God's grace to shine in unawareness while the toys and trinkets of the world are sought instead? Let me repeat this. Shall we continue to allow God's grace to shine in unawareness? This is like you are in a dark room which you could actually come out of, and you are saying, why is the sun not shining in here? Well, you need to open the door and go outside to see the light, because the light's shining no matter if you want to be aware of it or not. It's a bit like that. Shall we continue to allow God's grace to shine in unawareness while the toys and trinkets of the world are sought instead? Silliness? God is our only goal, our only love. We have no aim but to remember Him. And it does not mean that you should neglect all the other love you have. It doesn't mean that you should neglect the love that you have to your children, neglect the love you have to your parents, to your dogs, to whatever you have the love for. No, the love you have, this is a pointer to what true love actually is. This is your door inwards. This is also crazy what we're doing as humans. Absolutely crazy. So every time a door opens, we actually love somebody, we're feeling it, the soul opens, we say, that is not the love of God. And then we close the door again and walk off. No, that is where it is. That is when the light comes in. Because we are so confused about light. We think that the light is something that looks like the light that we see with our eyes. No, this is confusion. The light is what you see with your heart. When your heart opens up, when you feel this warmth towards a person, that is love. And it's not that you're loving that person, it's that the love within you is getting activated and the door opens up. And that is the door into God, into love. This is where you go in. You open it wider and walk in or walk out, whichever analogy. So if you feel that you're inside and the door is opening, so you open up the door and go out into the light, into the sunlight, which is so as analogy. The sunlight is an analogy. Okay? Shall we continue to allow God's grace to shine in unawareness while the toys and trinkets of the world are sought instead? God is our only goal, our only love. We have no aim but to remember Him, Him the love, Him the goal. And the reason why it's He is because you are also He. There is no difference. This is what you are. You are the light. You are the love. You are the extension of that. All it takes is to remember. All it takes is to open up the door. And when there is something where you can feel kindness, joy, happiness truly coming from within you, from within your heart, then open up the door. Go that way. So let's see what the prayer says. Our goal is but to follow in the way that leads to you. And how? It says it here. Our goal is but to follow in the way that leads to you. The way that leads to you, to God, is when you are feeling that small love for somebody. That is the way. Open it up and allow yourself the big light to feel, to the big love to feel, to see the God in the other person. Because when you are loving another person, it's because you have glimpsed the light in them. And the reason you're loving them is because they have lit up the light within yourself, or you have remembered the light within yourself. So you want to open up and allow it to shine for the both of you. Our goal is but to follow in the way that leads to you. We have no goal but this. What could we want but to remember you? What could we seek but our identity? In the Qigong class, I'm going to ask you to read the idea of today let me remember what my goal is. And I'm also going to ask you to read the prayer, to understand, first of all, what your purpose is and what your goal is, and understand what sin is and how it is obstructing you, how this body and these senses are confusing you, and that you really want to repurpose these senses, you want to repurpose this body to actually help you return back to God. I hope this makes sense to you. Let me know. If you're in the morning, I suggest you do the standing Qigong class, and if it's in the evening, you can do the seated Qigong class. And if you need to do a forgiveness lesson, I suggest lesson 121 or the list of Qigong classes. So here is the standing Qigong class for today. Here is the seated class if you prefer. Here is what is forgiveness, and here is the whole list of classes for A Course in Miracles students. Enjoy!